How much do you need to retire here in 2024? Well, there's a recent Northwestern survey here that came out this year, and it said that you need $1.46 million according to a general consumer consensus on how much you need to retire in 2024. Welcome to the Money Mastery Unleashed podcast. I'm your host, Adam Olson, with you today. I've been a financial planner with Mutual of Omaha for over a decade now, and I'm going to help you today with this question: how much do I need to save for retirement? And it's time for a reality check here today. You see, there's a lot of common misconceptions out there about how much or how little that you may need for retirement. And today, I'm going to cover this survey, and I'm going to walk you through some ins and outs of how much you may actually need and what you can do if you're behind. And if you're ahead, guess what? I'm going to tell you what you can do right there as well. So let's get started with this survey right now. Now, this magic number that everybody talks about is how much you're going to need to retire. And in fact, this number has increased 53% according to the Northwestern Mutual survey since 2020. Now, why, you may be asking? Well, let's get into that right now. You see, retirement planning is so much more than one account here, my retirement plan, my Social Security. It's really a whole conversation that we need to have about what your needs, your wants, and your desires are, and how we can create a fulfilling retirement plan for you. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through how much you need, where you need to save, what factors to consider, and so much more. Now let's talk a little bit about the importance of retirement saving goals, first and foremost. In order to get you to a point where you're ready to retire, first off, we need to have goals, and we need to have lifestyle preferences as well. You see, I think far too often people think about what they're going to retire from versus about what they're going to retire to. So I like to have conversations with clients about, hey, what is your day going to look like when you retire? What are you going to be doing? Who are you going to be doing it with? Where are you going to be serving your community at? Where are you going to be spending your time? So before we get into that, a lot more detail here, let's talk about this survey. So this survey came out here earlier here in 2024. Now in 2020, it was thought that the average American would need $951,000 to retire. But here in 2024, it's $1.46 million. Now, some other things about this survey that came out as well. The amount saved that people had for retirement, average here again, it was only $88,000. So safe to say there's a little difference between 1.4 and 88,000. A little bit of disconnect there, right? On top of that, the survey found that only 3 in 10 Americans have a tax-efficient retirement plan strategy. Now, I've talked about this before on past episodes, and I write about it in my book, The Red Zone Retirement Plan. Taxes for a lot of Americans, due to this survey, the findings, they're actually an afterthought, which is super sad. Because say you have $1 million in a 401k plan and it's all pre-tax. Well, guess what? You have to pay taxes on that account, and you really don't have $1 million in that 401k plan if it's all pre-tax dollars. And then the averages, some other averages here that I thought were kind of interesting. The average age that people started saving was 31, and the age that people expected to work to was 65. So just a recap of these survey findings before we move on to some other things as well. Amount needed, thought was 1.46. Amount saved was only 88. Little bit of disconnect. Only 3 in 10 Americans have a tax-efficient retirement plan, which is a big red flag. And then the average age people started saving was 31, and people expected to work until 65. So let's get into here some factors. Let's talk about this a little bit more detail now. What factors influence how much you need to have for retirement? Well, there's a lot of different things here. Retirement age, how long are you going to work? What's your life expectancy? What's your lifestyle looking like? And what are your spending habits? What are your healthcare costs? What are your long-term care needs? Do you have long-term care insurance? And then don't forget about this wonderful thing that we have called inflation, meaning the cost of things going up over time. And of course, there's economic factors as well. So I talked before briefly about getting really your mind about what your retirement is going to look like. So just take a second here and think about it. Your future retirement. Are you going to be living in the same house? Are you relocating? Are you moving states? Are you downsizing? Are you getting a bigger home? Really, what are your days going to be look like? Are you going to the gym in the morning? Are you volunteering at your church or a nonprofit on Sundays and Wednesdays? Are you serving your community in other aspects as well? Maybe you're helping out your kids and grandkids with babysitting, running kids around. Really, you need to have a lifestyle in mind of what your retirement's going to look like. And with that lifestyle that you want, obviously we need to understand the cost and the implications of that. And moving on from there, let's help you right now understand where this retirement income is going to come from. Right? We're not pulling money out of thin air. You have to have different accounts in different places that you can pull your retirement income needs from. So first and foremost, most people have Social Security. When are you starting it? How are you taking it? What are the taxes on it? That should all be part of your retirement income plan. And I talk about that in the Red Zone retirement plan for you guys to check out as well. Do you have a pension? Awesome. Now we get to some other things. Personal savings and investments. This is your 401k, your Roth IRAs. Maybe you have life insurance. Maybe you have brokerage accounts. I'm going to add to you guys, do not forget to plan for taxes here. You need to come up with an efficient retirement distribution strategy that takes taxes into account, not only for Medicare premium purposes, but for Social Security tax purposes, and for obviously your federal and possibly state income tax as well. So however you're creating your distribution plan, make sure that you're doing it in a tax efficient manner. Now let's move on to, this is a common one. This is the big part here. How do we calculate your number? It's not just a simple 4% rule. I know I need a simple $1 million. I will say everybody's situation is different, but here's some practical guidance for you right now on how you can calculate what your needs are. First off, you need to estimate those retirement expenses in your retirement lifestyle. So you need to calculate, what are your retirement expenses? Housing, food, clothing, insurance cost, property cost. Do you have taxes and insurance on your property? So add all those things up. Add up all your expenses that you can think about. Don't forget to throw in some travel. Don't forget to plan in other expenses that are going to pop up as well, such as entertainment and leisure. So once you have your estimated retirement expenses factored in, healthcare cost, housing, everything, let's just say it's $10,000 a month for easy math. Well, how are we going to get that $10,000? Well, obviously it's going to come from the sources that we previously mentioned. It's going to need to come from Social Security, it's going to need to come from pensions, and it's going to need to come from those retirement savings accounts. Now, there's a ton of online calculators that you can use and financial planning tools that you can use that your advisor will help you with to figure out these expenses, these costs, and help you figure out an income plan that's tax efficient to pay for these retirement costs that you have. So number one, figure out what your expenses are. Number two, figure out what you have and then see if you can fill the gap in with what you have. If not, you may need to move on to the next thing that I'm going to talk about here, which is closing the gap. So if you don't have enough assets, if you don't have enough income to cover the cost of this retirement that you've dreamt about, that you have imagined, that you want to live, well, here's something that you can do. You can increase your contributions. You can delay your retirement, or you can work longer for part-time. So this is a big one that I love to talk about with a lot of clients. It's called a phased retirement. So say you're 60, instead of working till 65, what if you started working part-time at 63 until you were 70? Have those conversations with your planner to see if that's something that you could be utilizing to possibly get to part-time work sooner than you imagined. In addition, if you don't have enough assets for your retirement, guess what? You might have to lower what your retirement expectations are. This may mean downsizing your house. It may be not traveling as much. It may be going out to eat once a week instead of every night. But I am going to encourage you guys, seek professional advice and seek guidance with these things. You only get to retire once. Now, we've helped in our firm, we've helped hundreds of clients retire successfully. And you've only done it once or maybe not even done it at all. And if you need help coming up with the strategies and the tools to help you live a successful retirement, I would encourage you to reach out to us here at Mutual of Omaha Advisors. I work with clients around the country, and I'd love to have a conversation with you to see if we can help you create the retirement plan of your dreams. And if you'll be interested in connecting with me, my website is below. It's just adamolson.biz. I'd love to have a consultation with you to see if we can come up with a general outline of what your financial plan can look like in retirement to help you live comfortably. And remember, we need to take taxes into consideration when we're doing our planning as well. So thanks for listening to this episode of the Money Mastery Unleashed podcast. I'm going to be coming out with more and more episodes about this, filling you guys full of a lot of information about retirement planning, money, and financial planning as well. If you enjoyed the episode, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. And don't forget, share the episode out if you found value in it. This podcast is for educational purposes only and may include references to concepts that have legal and/or tax implications. It's not to be construed as legal or tax advice. Such information or opinions is subject to change without notice and is not intended to use as an offer or solicitation with respect to the purchase or sale of any security, insurance products, or offer of individual investment advice. Any strategies discussed may not be suitable for everyone. Mutual of Omaha Investor Services, Inc. does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your appropriate professional regarding your personal situation prior to making any financial decisions. Securities and advisory services offered through Mutual of Omaha Investor Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Riser Insurance is not affiliated with Mutual of Omaha Investor Services. Investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Diversification does not guarantee a profit or protection lost against loss in a declining market. Purchase of life insurance is subject to meeting underwriting requirements. There is no guarantee of an individual will be insured. Annuities are long-term investments designed for retirement purposes. Withdrawals of taxable amounts are subject to income tax, and if taken prior to 59.5, a 10% federal penalty tax may apply. Guarantees are backed by the claims paying ability of the issuer and are subject to their terms and conditions.